Welcome to AK Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of Soul Land 3, Legend of the Dragon King Part 168. Without any delay, start explanation. Tang Wulin had never been lacking in patience. He sat down in the dark corner and silently utilized his mysterious heavens method. He could feel the minute changes in his surroundings as he waited quietly for the coming of the night. According to their intel, the Green Skeleton Rebellion should have already made their preparations in the theater beforehand. As for how they would carry out their plan in the end, they had no idea yet. The skies started to darken. Nightfall was imminent. As the capital of the Star Luo Empire, Star Luo City was the largest city. When evening came, throngs of people flooded the brightly lit streets. It was the time when the city was at its liveliest. The Star Theatre was of moderate scale. There would be some plays every day with historical drama as their main performance. The Star Luo Empire had a long-standing history, divided into the old and new. The old history referred to the period on the Doluo continent, whereas the new history was after they had arrived on the Star Luo continent. There was still some time before tonight's performance, but various preparation works were already ongoing inside the theatre. In the basement of the Star Theatre, a saw cover lifted open silently. Scores of black shadows crawled out of it. Proceed according to plan, a somber voice sounded. The black shadows emerged in droves before dispersing. Inside the theatre, a handsome middle-aged man in a tuxedo was looking at the script in his hands. He lifted his brows slightly, squinted his eyes a bit and stood up. All fighters, get ready. They are here. Location of attack, under the theatre. Commence the sweep. There was an extremely complicated situation under the Star Theatre. Cement columns were the foundation that supported the entire theatre. The innumerable black shadows ceaselessly shot past these columns and stuck round fixed soul bombs onto them. It was also at this moment that masked figures slid slowly into the basement from the darkness. Tang Wulin could hear the orders relayed in his ear. MIC. He stood up and waited silently. I'm dying to join in the action. If only I was strong enough. Tang Wulin was eager to have a try, but at the same time, he also understood the arrangements made by the Battle Soul Hall. Once in possession of one-word battle armor, a Soul Master's combative strength and survival abilities would be greatly enhanced. Naturally, that also meant that the Soul Master would be less at risk. Black One gave an order and everyone's ear. MIC went silent. What came next would be a wait. Inside the Star Theatre, the audiences started coming in. The play today was very interesting, one of the favorite plays of the Star Theatre, Spirit Ice Doluo Huiyuhao's battle against the Black Dragon King. After Star Luo continent entered its new history, the most adored idol of the people was the Almighty One who had single-handedly stopped the enemy's invasion many years ago and protected the Star Luo Empire, the Spirit Ice Doluo who had once dominated a generation. On the Star Luo continent, the name of the Spirit Ice Doluo was even more famous than it was on the Doluo continent. There were already some minor performances unstaged to warm up the audience. They were completely oblivious to the fierce fighting and killing that was underway below the theatre. Voices continued sounding in Tang Wulin's ear. MIC. Killed one hostile, disarmed one bomb. Enemy numbers unknown. Killed 3 hostiles. There are 4 bombs in area number 4. Please send disarming backup. The enemy has spotted us. Increase the pace of the operation. This is Purple One. Everyone, attack with all you've got. Prioritize disarming the bombs. Well done. Be careful of the enemy. A dog is at its most dangerous when cornered. Nice. Thanks, Yellow 6. Outflank the enemy on the right side of area number 6. As he listened to all these orders, Tang Wulin truly felt an irresistible itch in his heart. The battle must have been intense. The enemy is starting to flee. Disarm the bombs first. White fighters at the outer perimeter, this is Purple One. Keep an eye on the area that you're guarding. There's a small number of enemies who have escaped. If sighted, do everything you can to stop them all. Report your situations at any time. Tang Wulin's eyes lit up with a flash. He quickly released his domineering golden dragon body. On his right arm, the golden dragon claw emerged in a golden glow. At the same time, glittering starlight lingered in the air as two pieces of battle armor covered his entire right arm and shoulder. He quickly transformed himself into his strongest condition. He had just finished doing all this when suddenly, with a whistle, a black figure flew up the wall from the inside of the theater. Bastards! It's the Battle Soul Hall's men. Get ready to fire the rank 7 fixed soul cannonball. Bury them all inside. A voice filled with anger sounded on the top of the wall. Rank 7 fixed soul cannonball? Tang Wulin was very familiar with fixed soul cannonballs. They were a most terrifying type of soul tool. Fixed soul cannonballs had been evolving continuously with the times. Whether it was on the Doluo continent or the Star Luo continent, they were completely prohibited. Other than the military, no private party was allowed to own them. The production cost of a fixed soul cannonball was expensive, but its destructive power was devastating. He never expected the Green Skeleton Rebellion to have been able to bring a rank 7 fixed soul cannonball into Star Luo City. Once a fixed soul cannonball exploded, it was said that even an area thousands of meters in diameter would be reduced to rubble, leave alone the theater in front of him. What Tang Wulin did not know was that the assault by the Green Skeleton this time had been planned in consecutive waves. The Star Theater was only a part of their overall attack. It was extremely difficult to bring a rank 7 fixed soul cannonball into Star Luo City. They had dismantled it into countless smaller components, brought them into the city over a long period of time, and then reassembled it. They also had to use several hideouts to prevent it from being discovered. The Green Skeleton Rebellion had indeed expended much care and thought into this operation. This rank 7 fixed soul cannonball was prepared for the Continental Young High-Ranking Soul Masters Elite competition. They had prepared to use it when the competition was in its final stages, namely the follow-up round-robin tournament when there were only elites in the competition. They would have dealt the young generation of the Star Luo Empire a significant blow. That was why they had not used it immediately. With the destructive power of this cannonball, even if the black fighter who had just displayed such powerful strength could escape with his life, the other Tang sect fighters would definitely be buried inside the theater. The Tang sect had always kept close official relations with the Star Luo Empire. If the rebellion could weaken the strength of the Tang sect, then they had not come in vain this time. At the moment, there were already as many as 4 members from the Green Skeleton Rebellion who had crawled up the wall. The leader of the pack wore brilliant green clothes. His hand flickered with light, and a huge, meter-long cannonball appeared in his hands. As soon as the cannonball emerged, it made Tang Wulin's scalp tingle. The surface of the cannonball was inscribed with densely packed magical runes. It exuded a dark and frightful aura. The terrifying feeling made Tang Wulin feel as if he would be blown to smithereens at any moment. This was his first time seeing such a high-ranking fixed soul cannonball. What was he supposed to do? Among the 3 insurgents on the wall, the leader was clad in dark purple battle armor. 7 soul rings hovered about his body. Shockingly, he was a 2-word battle armor master, judging by his battle armor's model and complexity. He hefted the fixed soul cannonball onto his shoulder. His 2 underlings had started setting up a contraption which resembled a base on the top of the wall. The fixed soul cannonball was not that easy to fire, and it was extremely dangerous. When they fired it, they also had to guarantee their own safety. That was why they had to do it through a base. Should I rush up there now? Tang Wulin asked himself. It was utterly impossible for him to stop these 3 with his own strength. They were all battle armor masters. There was even a 2-word battle armor master. If he went up now, it would be no different than sending a sheep into the tiger's mouth. Staying completely still, he focused his mind and held his breath. He also did not inform his companions at the first opportunity he got. He knew that the moment he opened his mouth, he would be exposed instantly. If these Green Skeleton Rebellion members acted like a cornered beast and fired the cannonball immediately, then it was all over. He could only wait for now. Thick beads of sweat trickled down his forehead. Tang Wulin, for the first time in his life, felt that he was this close to death. The 4 Green Skeleton Rebellion members set up the base with practiced movements and placed the fixed soul cannonball within it. At this moment, the communicator in Tang Wulin's ear came alive. Every white fighter, report your situations. The sweeping of the bombs in the interior is now complete. All hands are to swiftly give chase to the fleeing enemies. White 1, clear. White 2, clear. The sounds of reports came one after another, but Tang Wulin did not move an inch or make a sound. His eyes were fixed on the situation at the top of the wall. His mind quickly calculated all the possible countermeasures that he could take. All right, we'll retreat. On top of the wall, wings spread out from behind the Green Skeleton Rebellion's two-word battle armor master. They flapped forcefully, and he soared into the air. The other three men also hastily put some distance between them and the cannonball. On the base, patterns of light started shining. Obviously, it had been set to fire automatically. With the speed of a battle armor master, only 10 seconds were needed to get out of the explosion's blast radius. In other words, the most they had was 10 seconds before this rank 7 fixed soul cannonball would be fired. This is White 3. The enemy is here. There's a rank 7 fixed soul cannonball. Everyone, retreat immediately. Tang Wulin made a clarion call as he dashed out. He had already thrown a blue-silver grass vine outward. He twined it around the base and pulled with all his strength. He had only one plan right now, and that was to alter the direction of fire of this fixed soul cannonball. Pull. It did not budge, and the light patterns on the cannonball suddenly intensified in brightness. Not good. Tang Wulin realized that the situation was dire. Undoubtedly, after this fixed soul cannonball had initiated the firing process, it would self-detonate if any attempt was made to tamper with it. The time remaining before the cannonball detonated itself was 3 seconds, which meant Tang Wulin only had that much time to act. 3 seconds was not enough for him to get out of the range of the explosion no matter how he looked at it. In 3 seconds, everything here would be reduced to rubble. At the critical moment, Tang Wulin's mind suddenly went ice cold. He had gone into his calmest mode. His eyes were completely golden now. With a forceful pull on the blue-silver grass, he was already on top of the wall. He seized the base with both of his arms and lifted it up with all his might. The base itself was extremely durable, but the wall was not that tough. Under Tang Wulin's immense strength, the entire base with the rank 7 fixed soul cannonball was uprooted from the top of the wall. Without a moment's pause, Tang Wulin concentrated all of his power into his right arm. His battle armor gave off a resplendent glow as he quickly swung his body round on the top of the wall. Just as the first second had ended, he threw the cannonball, along with its base, high into the air. The instant after throwing the cannonball, Tang Wulin also leaped high into the air. He knew that, strong as he was, the combined weight of the fixed soul cannonball and its base was too heavy. It was impossible for him to have thrown it out of the range of the explosion. He needed to exert even more force. As soon as he leaped up, a beam of golden light was released from his body. It was the rapidly growing Gold Song. Upon its appearance, Gold Song immediately seized upon a blue-silver grass vine. The blue-silver grass expanded swiftly and turned completely gold. At the same time, Tang Wulin switched his martial soul to the blue-silver emperor. His fourth soul ring shone brightly for the blue-silver overlord transformation. The vine of blue-silver grass, which was augmented by the blue-silver overlord transformation and enhanced by Gold Song, had instantly transformed into something like a dragon. It slammed against the top of the wall, and Tang Wulin's body was sent rocketing through the air once more. The next second was up. In a blink, Tang Wulin caught up with the fixed soul cannonball in midair. He had been catapulted more than 300 meters into the sky. Having reached the cannonball while airborne, he used his arms to push outward with all he had. A giant golden dragon head appeared. It was the golden dragon shocks the heavens. This golden dragon shocks the heavens did not burst into attack, but thrust with all its power. The rank 7 fixed soul cannonball rapidly shot toward the sky like a meteor. It had swiftly surpassed a height of more than 1,000 meters and continued its ascent at great speed. The cannonball and its base were completely engulfed in the golden dragon head, which had manifested through the golden dragon shocks the heavens. Boom! A beautiful display of lights burst forth in the high skies. The terrifying explosive force lit up the sky like a giant firework. The firework had 7 colors. The terrifying explosive force ripped through the entire sky, making a tear that resembled a black hole. Tang Wulin had relied on the momentum and caught up with the fixed Soul Cannonball at the height of 300 meters. However, he kept flying until he rose to a height of 500 meters or so before he struck the cannonball upward. During this moment, the great explosion of the Soul Cannonball in the sky had instantly brought with it a terrifying shockwave. It had swatted him down like a fly from a height of 500 meters. Tang Wulin felt his chest tighten, as his entire body felt as if he would be ground into minced meat by the shockwave. The clothes he wore were reduced to ashes at once, including the mask on his face. All he could do was release his domineering golden dragon body. The scales on his body sparkled intensely. Still, the apocalyptic shockwave was overwhelming. The domineering golden dragon body flickered for a few seconds before its light was snuffed out. Tang Wulin spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. He was just about to crash into the ground. At that exact moment, a dark golden figure rose upward and caught the falling Tang Wulin, as though by coincidence. Meanwhile, a blast of dark golden light burst out toward the sky and formed a radiant curtain which prevented the shockwave from reaching the city. The dark golden armor covered the figure's entire body. A pair of wings spread open behind him, and his armor flickered with beautiful patterns. It was 3-word battle armor. Black One had made his move. When he had heard Tang Wulin's frantic report, Black One had rushed out as soon as he possibly could. Because he was underground before this, making it out of the building had delayed him somewhat. That was why when he hurried to Tang Wulin's assigned position, the scene that he saw was Tang Wulin catching up with the fixed Soul Cannonball in midair, and then striking it upward. Then came the great explosion that tore the sky apart. If it were not for his prompt appearance, the fall from such a height with the addition of the shockwave's pressure would have left Tang Wulin crippled if not dead. The capabilities of a 3-word battle armor master were fully on display. The enormous shockwave had been firmly blocked from reaching the city 300 meters above the ground. The greatest power of the fixed Soul Cannonball was at its point of origin. It had exploded in the skies without any obstruction and had spread out in all directions. The ground had been rattled, and the intense sound of the blast had shattered all the glass in a radius of a few kilometers, but the fixed Soul Cannonball's destructive power was drained completely thanks to Black One's timely barrier. Black One descended from the sky and retracted the wings on his back, but a hint of fear flashed across his eyes after the event. Although he was confident that his 3-word battle armor would have protected him from such a massive explosion, but in these busy streets, how many people would have survived? The members of the Battle Soul Hall, even the Purple Fighters, would definitely have been killed under such circumstances. A surge of gentle soul power flowed into Tang Wulin's body. It was the mysterious heaven method. The effects of the soul power which Black One had inserted into his body soon became apparent, calming down his boiling blood essence. Good man. Great job. Black One's sincere and resolute voice cut through the buzzing in Tang Wulin's ears. Puh. He spat out a mouthful of blood, but Tang Wulin instantly felt much better. If it were anyone else, their body would have been shattered after taking the brunt of the shockwave in the air. However, he had relied on his incredible physical capabilities with the protection of his domineering Golden Dragon body and was not too badly injured this time. With the Golden Dragon King bloodline's powerful recovery ability, he would be brimming with energy again by tomorrow morning. At this moment, a mass of people shot out from within the Star Theater. When they saw the terrifying glow in the sky, which had still not faded even after such a long time, everyone's eyes were shocked. Black One removed his mask and covered Tang Wulin's face. At the same time, he took off his hooded cloak and covered his body. After all, with the removal of the Golden Dragon Claw and the domineering Golden Dragon body, Tang Wulin was as naked as a newborn baby. Thank you. Tang Wulin's voice was slightly hoarse, but he somehow managed to stand on his own feet. It's me who should be thanking you. Black One patted Tang Wulin's shoulder, hugged him and shook him vigorously. For someone of his position and cultivation to have done so, it was clear how emotional he was. Reporting to Black One, the sweep is complete. There are no bombs remaining. Reporting all clear. The remaining Green Skeleton Rebellion members have all retreated. We have informed the authorities to hunt them down. All right. Let's move back. With Black One's order, 3 soul cars drove toward them silently. Black One personally held Tang Wulin's shoulder and brought him to the car which he boarded. When they passed by the other Battle Soul Hall fighters, they all gave 2 thumps to the left sides of their chest with their right fist as a show of gratitude and respect to their companion. His viscera seemed to be on fire and his injuries were quite heavy, but in the current atmosphere, Tang Wulin still felt his hot blood boil. This was, after all, his first time participating in a Battle Soul Hall team operation. The situation had been perilous, but Tang Wulin had no regrets. Whether it was out of self-preservation or the will to rescue others, he had no other options back then. When he got in the car, Tang Wulin clearly felt that everyone's gaze was concentrated on him. He was still unaccustomed to this feeling of being the center of attention. Black One revealed his true self. The other fighters present did not seem surprised. Wearing a faint smile on his face, Black One looked at Tang Wulin and said, "Good job. I'll record this down as a great merit when we get back. You have saved your brothers' lives this time." Tang Wulin said with a soft voice, "It's what I'm supposed to do." Black One smiled and said, "Judging by your abilities, I think you're greatly endowed with natural gifts. Your reflexes are fast enough and you don't hesitate in critical moments. These are all good qualities. Keep it up." "Yes, sir." Black One was obviously not used to praising others. When he said those words, all the other fighters looked slightly astonished. At least, based on their understanding of him, this man had never praised anyone before. But if it were not for this white 3, everyone's lives would have been in danger. When they thought about this, they all felt at ease. Black One's smile was not his alone. He also represented all the fighters who participated in the day's operation. They returned to the Tang sect's headquarters in Star Luo City. Black One had first called a recovery system Soul Master to heal Tang Wulin's injuries, then he gathered everyone's fighter badges. Beams of light data assembled. Some changes were made to the internal data of Tang Wulin's own fighter badge. The number of participated operations turned into 1. Contribution points, 30,000. With special contributions, 1 record of great merit. These seemingly ordinary bits of data actually signified many extraordinary things. 30,000 contribution points were enough for Tang Wulin to purchase another Tang Sect technique. Currently, among all the Tang Sect techniques, Tang Wulin had learned most of them. The techniques he had learned included the 4 techniques of Mysterious Heaven Method, Controlling Crane Capturing Dragon, Ghost Shadow Perplexing Track, and Purple Demon Eyes. If he were to buy another one, his only option would be the Hand Training Method, Mysterious Jade Hands. The quintessence of the Tang Sect during its establishment was mainly hidden weapons. Many hidden weapons were laced with toxins, and the cultivation of the Mysterious Jade Hands could greatly improve the power and strength of one's hands. They would be immune to poison and as durable as both steel and stone. It seemed that Mysterious Jade Hands was the most insignificant among the 5 Tang Sect techniques, excluding the Hidden Weapons 100 separations. Even so, if it was listed as a Tang Sect technique, there must have been a reason for it. As for the Hidden Weapons 100 separations, it had been modified by countless generations of Tang Sect members until the present day. Although the name had not changed, it contained a huge amount of refined Soul Circuit teachings. They had brought the ancient Hidden Weapons and Soul Tool core circuits together and understood them thoroughly. Among the various soul tools produced by the Tang Sect, a majority of them were born from the theoretical knowledge contained within Hidden Weapons 100 separations. Hence, it was the most valuable among the Tang Sect techniques. It also required the most contribution points. But Tang Wulin was a blacksmith and not a mecha maker, which was why he did not have much need for the Hidden Weapons 100 separations. It was even more extraordinary for him to have a great merit within his reward. The biggest advantage of a great merit was that in any Tang Sect branch the bearer had the power to summon Tang Sect disciples a single time. Tang Wulin had been rewarded with the Tang Sect's gathering call. He could use this call to gather 30 Tang Sect Battle Soul Hall fighters in order to carry out a mission, as they had just done. The prerequisite was that the mission was not against their moral code. Those were Tang sect fighters. What did 30 Tang sect fighters mean? This was why after Tang Wulin heard Black One's explanation Tang sect's call function, he was completely astonished. This was practically a divine tool. Black One did not inquire about his name and background. This was a rule of the Battle Soul Hall. As long as it was confirmed that the badge was real and was compatible with the fighter's own blood essence, they would not rashly ask about another fighter's origins. Different fighters had their own professions and lived in different places. The reason for the Tang sect Battle Soul Hall power was that it was scattered in every corner of the continent. As to how many fighters there were, only a select few of the Tang sect's higher-ups knew. The unit with the greatest individual strength within the Tang sect was naturally the Worship Hall. However, the Battle Soul Hall was undoubtedly the organization with the most powerful overall strength. When Tang Wulin returned to the hotel, it was already late into the night. He was truly fatigued today. The greatest source of tiredness was his own heart. He had once again been on the brink of death, and this time he had no backup plans. If it were not for Black One's timely appearance, he would at the very least have been greatly injured if not dead. It had been a truly deadly situation. However, his heart was also filled with joy. He rejoiced about the time he spent under teacher Mu Yi where he cultivated at the edge of life and death. Only a person who had wandered at that precarious boundary could calmly react to the situation at hand when faced with impending death and not be paralyzed with fear. Tang Wulin's reaction speed back did not seem to show the slightest sign of slowing down. That was the most important factor that saved everyone in the end. As he sat on his bed, he looked at his hands. A trace of a smile could not help but appear on Tang Wulin's face. He had just obtained many contribution points, so naturally, he had gone and exchanged them for the cultivation manual of mysterious jade hands without hesitation. Now that he had the mysterious jade hands, any future contribution points could be exchanged for something else. For example, the heaven and earth treasures that he used to break through his seals. The operation this time had increased Tang Wulin's sense of belonging within the Tang sect. It felt wonderful, and he liked it very much. With that many powerful companions whom he could rely on, the feeling was amazing. Moreover, he had rescued them, which was even more incredible. He meditated for the whole night. Early in the next morning, when the first signs of the morning sun appeared, a vigorous and energetic Tang Wulin was already standing on the balcony, as he started to cultivate his purple demon eyes. Strength was the foundation for anything. Any person who had just recently faced dangers would believe in this without a shadow of a doubt. In order to survive, one must work hard and cultivate oneself. The first round of the 2-against-2 battles had already ended. Today must have been the first round for the team battle. He would be participating in the first rounds of the team battle with his companions. He had a good feeling about this, just like the night before. He relied on the purple air at the edge of the skies and finished cultivating his purple demon eyes. Tang Wulin forcefully stretched his body. He could clearly feel pulses of warmth which slowly cooled down and traveled from his eyes into the depths of his brain. His spiritual power must have grown again. The longer he cultivated the purple demon eyes, the greater the effects would be every time he trained. The improvement in his spiritual power was still very important. Gu had never cultivated purple demon eyes, but her spiritual power was truly great. Tang Wulin was actually still curious if Gu had really broken through to the spirit abyss realm. You went out last night? Gu looked at Tang Wulin and asked him over breakfast. I went out for a walk, Tang Wulin replied with a smile. Oh? The gaze which Gu gave him was slightly strange. With a bitter smile, Tang Wulin asked, "Why are you looking at me like that?" "It's nothing." "Tang Wulin, you come out here this instant." At this very moment, someone shouted bitterly. Tang Wulin was slightly stunned. He turned to look toward the direction of the voice. As it happened, he saw the Star Luo Empire's princess standing arms akimbo in the hotel's lobby staring at him with a furious look in her eyes. "Captain, what did you do when you were out last night? Why is she here this early in the morning?" Xie had instantly connected the conversation between Tang Wulin and Ji Yu with the situation before their eyes. Get lost. Tang Wulin glared at him. He stood up and walked out. There was someone else standing beside Dai Yuna. He had a slender build and handsome looks. When he saw that Tang Wulin walking toward him was obviously a few years younger than himself, Dai Yuyang felt as if his eyes had opened up as he gave his little sister a sidelong glance. He thought to himself, no wonder little sister can't get over this guy. He's really attractive. From the outside, he's flawless. Plus, he came from Shrek Academy. It's no surprise little sister is interested in him. What business do you have here, princess? Also, don't you think that it's unbecoming for one of royal blood such as yourself to be screaming and shouting in public? Tang Wulin truly did not have a good impression of this princess. Dai Yuna scoffed. What's so unbecoming about it? I came as an ordinary person, not as a member of the royal family. I'm not here representing the empire. Then what reason does the princess have for calling me out? Asked Tang Wulin. Dai Yuna said, Tang Wulin, would you care to make a bet with me? That's it. Tang Wulin raised his brows and asked. Yep, Dai Yuna nodded vigorously. I don't. The princess may take her leave. Tang Wulin turned around and left. Dai Yuna felt as if she had just landed a punch on cotton wool. She was so infuriated that her small face went pale. Standing beside her, a hint of a smile flashed across the bottom of Dai Yuyan's eyes. This young man was interesting. No wonder Yuna was forced to concede defeat to him. This was quite intriguing. Tang Wulin, stand there and don't move. Dai Yuna took 2 quick steps. She reached out her hand and made to grab Tang Wulin's arm. Tang Wulin swayed his slightly and evaded her grasp. May the princess have some self-respect. It is improper for a man and a woman to touch so freely. Tang Wulin, I really want to kill you right now. Dai Yuna said through gritted teeth. Tang Wulin spoke with an upright air. Your Highness, should I interpret that as a threat from you toward a diplomatic envoy? Dai Yuna was already at the limits of her temper. She turned to look at Dai Yuyang. Fourth brother, look at how despicable he is. Why aren't you helping me? Dai Yuyang walked over feeling somewhat exasperated. He looked at Tang Wulin with a calm expression. An unseen pressure was immediately released from his body. Tang Wulin turned around. Fourth brother? Dai Yuna's brother would naturally be a prince of the Star Luo Empire. Hello, I am Dai Yuyang. Dai Yuyan's simple greeting did not include the introduction of his title. Hence, Tang Wulin did not feel an instant dislike for him. I see. The princess went home and complained. Do you have anything to say on the matter? In any case, I don't think I've ever done anything to the princess before, said Tang Wulin with a smile. Dai Yuyan's heart skipped a beat. Under the pressure of his own domineering presence, this boy was surprisingly unfazed. From that alone, he could already determine his overall cultivation base. Good day, Tang Wulin. The truth is my little sister meant no harm. She only greatly admired the grand name of Shrek Academy as the best academy on the continent. That's why she wanted to have an exchange and compare notes under the name of a wager. That's all. Oh. Tang Wulin's heart fluttered slightly. This fourth prince's style was much better than the little girl. There were no loopholes in his speech. Then how does the prince wish us to have this exchange and comparing of notes? Asked Tang Wulin. Dai Yuyang said, I heard that all of you are also participating in this year's Continental Young High-Ranking Soul Masters Elite competition. What a coincidence, my companions, little sister, and I also wished to participate in this year's competition. I believe that we'll meet each other in the competition in the near future. Dai Yuna continued, whether it's the solo competition, paired competition, or the team competition, as long as you guys can win once, then we'll count it as your win. Especially the team competition, aren't you guys from Doluo continent, the greatest advocates of this? We'll bet on the winning and losing of the team competition. Do you dare make the bet? Tang Wulin shrugged. Didn't I already tell you the answer just now? This is your home ground. There are a lot of things which you guys can do. Why would I ever want to make a bet with you? Also, Your Highness, gambling is not really an honorable activity. As a member of the royal family, you should make yourself an example for others. You're scared. Is everyone at Shrek Academy as timid as a mouse like you? Diuna sneered. Tang Wulin's brows furrowed together slightly. I'm only speaking for myself. I can't represent the academy. If you're that bored, why don't you go back and do some cultivation? With these words, he turned around and returned to the breakfast hall. He had not finished his meal. Diuna was enraged. She almost ran up to him, but she was pulled back by Dai Yang. That's enough, little sister. Fourth brother, why aren't you helping me? Diuna said with an angry expression. Dai Yang shook his head in frustration. Little sister, you're not your usual self. You have a spirit system martial soul. You've always been calm. Why are you so impulsive today? Acting so rashly won't solve the problem. This young fellow from Shrek Academy is very interesting. We'll take it slow. There's no rush. When she heard Dai Yuyen's words, Diuna was taken aback. He was right. Since when did she turn this reckless? Normally, she would be the one playing the others, so why had she been played by someone else? We'll meet them in the competition. Dai Yang patted his sister's shoulder and pulled her away from the venue. He was definitely not someone who would leverage his own position to bully others. If he wanted to avenge his little sister, he would do it fairly and openly. It seems that this princess has taken a liking to you. Yu Jingyu said to Tang Wulin with an expression that was delighting in his misfortune. Tang Wulin ignored him and carried on with his meal. But that's all right as well. If you don't have any pressure, then this competition would have been meaningless, no? Yu Jingyu laced his hands behind his back and looked to be at ease. The team battle. Because Gu had refused to take part in the battle, the 7 others would participate in the contest. The team battle required one substitute contestant at the time of registration, so they had to list Gu as such. She would have to be present at the competition grounds. The appreciation of the team battles was evident in the amount of human traffic outside the Star Luo Coliseum. Compared to the 2 days before this, the crowd was noticeably thinner. Tang Wulin had heard that the reason that the Star Luo Empire citizens did not like team battles was because they thought that such battles were too chaotic. Ordinary people could never hope to observe it clearly. When one thought about it, it actually made sense. The solo competitions were 1 against 1. Even normal people could see the action. Team battles confused the eyes. Although they had higher technical content, they were not really as satisfying as watching a 1 against 1 match. They went into the competition grounds and entered the waiting area to have a look at the order of their participation. At that moment, the waiting area was already packed with contestants. Although there were not as many teams as the 2 competitions before this, more people took part in one match of a team battle. Every team was 8 members strong. Tang Wulin and the others quickly found the order of their participation. Team battles required a larger area, so only 5 competitions could be consecutively held within the Colosseum. Tang Wulin and the others were the 3rd team to battle. Their position was still slightly on the early side. They would not have to wait too long. Just when they had confirmed the order, suddenly, the noisy waiting area abruptly quietened down. The sudden change also slightly stunned the people from Shrek Academy. They instinctively turned their heads and looked. At the entrance of the waiting area, a group of people was slowly making their way in. There were 8 of them in total. All of them wore crimson clothing. There was a black picture on their chest that looked somewhat strange. It had an overall round shape, with an opening on one side, like a huge mouth. It displayed its sharp teeth and looked impressive in its domineering manner. The people from Monster Academy have arrived, someone in the crowd whispered. The words managed to reach Tang Wulin. Monster Academy? The Monster Academy that was established based on Shrek Academy's rules? Red clothing? Could that have been their school uniform? They truly complemented Shrek Academy's green-colored school uniforms. Was there not a saying that went, red on green, utter nonsense? This was indeed quite intriguing. On Monster Academy's side, the person who led the way was a large and tall man. He was bald and stood at a height of 2 meters. His shoulders and back were wide. When he stood there, he resembled a hill which blocked everyone behind him. Such a doughty aura. Tang Wulin felt silent chills running down his heart. He seemed to have seen a dash of dark red in this person's eyes. When this man walked in, the initially crowded waiting area immediately thinned as the people made way for him, allowing him to take his great strides into the waiting area. Tang Wulin and the others stood at the side. They quickly saw the others who followed behind this bald, brawny man. When Tang Wulin saw the second person, his gaze quickly froze. He had just met him that morning. Was that not the 4th prince of the Star Luo Empire, Dai Yuyang? What shocked him even more was at the back. There were 8 members from Monster Academy, and the one who walked at the end of the line was astonishingly the princess of Star Luo Empire, Diuna. This video will end here. Like video and subscribe to my channel.